Elliott Forrest from WQXR. I've been doing a series of artist check-ins to see how people are doing and checking in now with the one, the only Renée Fleming. Lovely to see you.
Great to see you too, Elliot.
I got to see you over the weekend. You and I are recording this on the 4th of August, and this concert, it's called Met Stars Live in Concert. It's going to be up for people until the 12th of August, so there's still an opportunity to see it, but truly lovely. I think it, in a way, sort of set a real bar for those things that are being done online. Oh, and
Oh,
Paul is joining us here.
Hey, I just was checking to make sure you guys got connected.
We're
So
all good. We're all
great. I'll scamper away.
all right. I want to get back to Paul in a minute because I want to know about your schedule. I may actually keep that in because it's so funny because you run your life, which is
yes.
crazy. But talk to me about this concert that's available for people right now.
Well, the directive from Peter Gelb was, as much opera as possible, and I think it was a great idea for him to kind of try to find venues that are unique and beautiful, that are near each of us, because we're all sheltering at home for the most part. And Dumbarton Oaks was a fantastic choice here in this Washington area because it's so historic. Stravinsky spent a lot of time there, and in fact has a piece dedicated to the room that we performed in. So I really enjoyed it, and putting the program together, trying to find something that was really manageable, because not having sung in many months, and especially not having performed, and then imagining performing without an audience, it was a bit of a daunting task, I have to say. So I'm relieved that it went okay.
Yeah, you seem to want to speak to the moment too. You started with a piece by John Corigliano, the text, and the people stayed home,
Right.
which we all were. You didn't pick these pieces randomly. It seems like you gave some real thought to it.
Right. Well, Kitty O'Meara, wrote that text that went viral at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was surprised when John Corigliano reached out to me. I have such respect for him. In fact, we should have played an excerpt from Ghost of Versailles, because that was supposed to be my Met debut, and I ended up filling in for Felicity Lott in Le Nozze di Figaro, but otherwise it would have been his opera. And he said, I really want to set this piece for you. And I tried to talk him into adding accompaniment to it, because singing a cappella is very difficult. And he said, no, he said, the whole point of it is that I have so many friends who are alone in New York, and it's very painful for them. And I want to kind of evoke that sense of isolation and loneliness. And he really achieved it. It's beautiful.
It was, and you sort of did the best hits of Renée Fleming too. With you weren't going to leave out Rosencavalier, which many of us saw you do in that final performance. It's been a signature role of yours. Was it hard to let her go?
At the time, yes. I mean, it's always hard, and when I look back on any of the things that were played actually during the recital, I think, oh dear, I'll never sing that again, or I might never sing that again. And, I can always do selections and scenes and pieces of it and concerts. And so, it's not as if you absolutely are saying goodbye to the piece altogether, but a fully staged production is another thing. It requires a certain type of mindset and conditioning, etc. But what I really felt at the time is that I had done it so much, and in all of the major houses, and I do believe that we are in a tradition that passes it on. We pay it forward to the next generation. We help them, we mentor them. As I was mentored by Beverly Sills and Leontine Price and Marilyn Horne, an extraordinary group of people. Joan Sutherland spent a day with me once, and sharing and really giving back in that way, which I'm trying to do now as well.
And you're doing it in so many different ways. As we started to do this interview, I was thinking, as it's been with every artist, it's like March came along and the calendar book just came open, and we saw Paul a little bit earlier, who is your associate who helps with so many things. I'm just going to guess there were 100 things in play just in the last 5 months in the life of Renée Fleming, just so you could stay home.
Well, I was supposed to be in Sydney, Australia right now, singing The Light in the Piazza at the Opera House there, so that's disappointing. And I especially missed touring with Yevgeny Kissin. We would have had a month in Europe and a month in the US recording, and that was a very special project that we had put together over years. The programming, getting the dates together. It's, these things are never easy. So, but, I feel very fortunate to be here. We're in a beautiful, with green and space, and everyone that I know and love as well. So that's the most important thing.
Not just the Met Stars live in concert, but so many other things everywhere. Creative people will be creative, and people got locked up. And I think you might agree. I've been so impressed with the level of creativity that people have needed to express themselves, particularly in the choral world. I'm sure you've seen so many things that have come from this that have been quite impressive.
Well, it just goes to show you that we as human beings really desire to communicate with each other, and we do it by expression, and it's usually an artistic expression. And that has just come to the forefront. It's powerful, which is why my webinar, Music and Mind Live, really addressing some of these, not just health, but what it means to be a creature that has this capability, that has the ability to create art, is powerful. And I've so loved learning more about this.
You've been doing these webinars. You do them every Tuesday. Tons of people are tuning in for them. I'm curious specifically, because this is heartbreaking, because what we have found out, and I've been directing in the choral world lately, is that singing is like the worst. It's like singing's going to be last. To get a group of people in the same room to sing will be the last thing that really happens artistically, I think, right?
Well, unless you're socially distanced and have enough space, you could do it outside. It can be done, but not in the way it was done before. There won't be any choral rehearsals in a small space anytime soon. Even what I do, you're still asking people to come into a hall. And opera is the most expensive art form at all, so it's very difficult if you're going to have a tiny audience to really fund the whole production. And not to mention you have the people in the orchestra pit and in the chorus again. So, but people are finding ways of getting around it. We're going to see a lot of digital experiences, I think, in the coming months. We'll see, again, people using that creativity, as you said, to find new ways of reaching out.
And what else have you been talking about during your Music in the Mind webinar? What kind of other science and music issues do you cover?
Well, there are three main fields that we look at. One is the basic science. So having Dr. Ani Patel on talking about what it means that dogs are howling, and how if they match pitch to the singer who's singing along with them, or the other dogs for that matter, along with babies, and how do babies and experience music, and what does it mean to them emotionally. So these kinds of things people are curious about what music is to us. But there's also all of the various, there are so many interventions for people who are struggling, either, veterans who have a traumatic brain injury or various injuries, or today we had a patient on live from Houston Methodist Hospital. Incredibly moving to hear him listen to Rachmaninoff played live for him. So we had 3 live setups in that moment, and what that meant to him. So it's a potential explosion, I would say, this intersection of arts and health, because of what you just described, the fact that we as human beings respond so powerfully to it. And medicine has learned that we're whole people. And that's why integrative medicine is growing so fast. So I think there's potential for artists to be more involved.
I've never seen it verified, because people, every time you read about the Mozart effect, where they're playing it for babies, there's somebody who kind of debunks it a little bit, and then I just wonder about the literal healing power of music. I'm guessing we're just scratching the surface on that.
Well, the National Institutes of Health has just put forward $25 million in funding for music and research, because what we do know, and you're right, we're just starting, and the reason why is because the fMRI has made it possible to see what's happening in the brain. during various activities, musical activities. And they've, have found that, for instance, for movement disorders in particular, there are great interventions, musical interventions. So somebody who's had a stroke or someone who has MS can listen to a beat and can be inspired by music and suddenly move much more fluidly. So there are certain things in music that help the brain bypass the problem area and begin to function better. And they want to understand on Alzheimer's patients, for instance, why music is the last memory to go. Why is that? Music impacts more parts of the brain than other activities. And there's even a center in the brain that's devoted to music, which tells us that we evolved with music as something important in our evolution. So science is interested in this. They want to understand it.
I wanted to ask you about the Mostly Mozart Festival. As you know, it's been canceled at Lincoln Center, but we will be doing it the entire week in August on WQXR, and you're going to be a part of that. I'm just looking here. We'll be hearing parts of your Simile and Samson, a number of Handel roles, I guess, as part of the Mostly Mozart Festival.
Right.
The ones that you were participating in, the ones that we will be replaying, what are your memories of the Mostly Mozart Festival?
Oh, I had some wonderful experiences. First of all, just to have the word festival makes anything more exciting and more interesting. I mean, you're looking at ways of absorbing music and kind of experiencing music that makes you think, whether it's combining it with other things that it isn't typically combined with, or whether it's all together in a festival setting. That's really important. And New York, in the summer, it's great to have something fun to do like that. It's really wonderful. And I've had terrific experiences with the festival.
I have a picture somewhere, maybe I'll find it, of me dressing up as Mozart for them. Being in the lobby there, interviewing people live on the radio.
I want to see that. I see the resemblance, actually.
You mentioned Light in the Piazza, that's on hold. But I read recently about The Hours. You'll be playing Meryl Streep, if I understand it correctly.
Yes, Clarissa, exactly. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Kevin Puts, first of all, is such a terrific composer and so wonderful to work with. I've been touring, for the last couple of years now, his settings of the letters of George O'Keeffe in two different forms. One with Alfred Stieglitz as well. Rod Gilfrey was singing that and loved that piece. And so for him to create The Hours, musically speaking, I think, and to have such extraordinary co-stars as Kelly O'Hara and Joyce DiDonato, it's going to be an event.
You and Kelly are in this similar category in that not just Broadway, but she does also opera and operetta. There's a number of people who cross over. You obviously lean towards more the opera category, but I came to see you. You were doing 8 shows a week.
Carousel, yes.
On Broadway. How many times did you sing You'll Never Walk?
Right. I think I have my cup right here. It's not even an advertisement. It just happens to be my favorite cup. Yeah, it was really. That was an eye-opener. What a fun experience. Unfortunately, my role was small enough that I didn't have require the incredible stamina that my younger colleagues did in that show. But I really loved the experience. And opening the Shed with Ben Whishaw, another theatrical experience not long after. Both of them were I've always been sort of intellectually curious. I want to try new things, and so that's inherent in kind of who I've been artistically, and those were two great opportunities for just that.
So everything has been put on hold, but I'm guessing with the webinars and the Met stuff, and then I look, you'll be doing a virtual gala with the Lyric Opera of Chicago.
Right.
Do you feel like you're kind of just as busy as you ever were?
I have been so far. So far, I've been extremely busy, and I'm doing a lot of working with young artists and talking to young artists, but also trying to support organizations, and I'm happy to help. So that message has gotten out. I'm definitely busy. I'll work with Wolf Trap Singers this week because I'm here. And they're here. It's the only organization in the summer that brought the singers here, and they quarantined for 2 weeks, and now they're working really hard.
Wow.
Yeah, it's impressive. And we work outside. They're going to work outside.
I want to thank you for participating just a little bit in this new Matthew Shepard video too. You voiced only in the love among dozens and dozens of other people, and the video is almost done, and I'll send it to you. So thank you.
Oh, I would love to hear it. Thank you. Love to see it.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Elliott.
Met Stars live in concert. You can find this